Hello and welcome to a new video. I've been asked what are the benefits when I use render in place inside of Cubase or Nuendo. So here are 13 tips and tricks or benefits. Number one, you can save a lot of CPU. Here I use Diva by Yuhe, and you can see there's nearly nothing happening at the audio performance, but now let's play it. So this is just one sound and the CPU goes over 50%. Now I select this event, go to Edit, Render in Place. I go to the render settings. I choose here Dry, and let's say it's the pad. Go ahead. And now it's rendering. After the rendering, we got the sound, and we can see at the end, the sound is cut. Okay, so how can we change this? I can do this. The first solution, just create a longer one. So now I go to Edit, Render in Place, and I can use the same settings. And now we will have a longer wave file as long as this event is. Or the second solution, now we go to the original length here and we go to the settings, and now we say tail mode. Let's choose 10 seconds. And now it's rendering again and is always adding 10 seconds. Trick number two, you can save a lot of RAM. Now I load in the Horns A12 by Orchestral Tools Tom Holkenborg's brass. You can see we've got 9 articulations, and here you can see how much RAM it needs, and it goes up to nearly 1 gigabyte. So you can play something and record it. And then just use render in place. Here we say we want to use the name brass. And after this, we can disable this track and can save a lot of RAM. Trick number 3, you can reduce your project loading times. Here I load in the hour choir by zero sampling, and you can see it will take a lot of time because there are a lot of samples that got to be loaded in. I got another library that takes a lot of time, Apocalypse Percussion Ensemble by Sound Iron. It has got a great sound, and there are not a lot of samples, but it takes a huge loading time. I don't know why. It's on both of my machines and it still didn't load here. And yes, I used batch resave and all the other tricks you can use. You just have to be patient. So here are the boys, and you can see it needs 720 megabyte nearly. And what I always do, then I play all the things I want. Let's say this. And after this, I use render in place. And the next time I load on the project, it doesn't need so much time because it's just using the audio files. Trick number 4, export to a partner. You finished your composition and now another person has to mix the song. But the other person doesn't have the rapid synthesizer. So the other person can't play back this virtual instrument. So I go to here, Edit, Render in Place, Render Settings, and let's say marimba. But now you can see here we've got one insert, the Echo Boy. This is how it looks like. And now let's listen to it and without. So what you do is you go back to the original, edit, render in place, render settings, and now don't use dry, choose the channel settings, and now all the settings here, the fader, panning, and the inserts are included. We don't use the tail mode. But let's use the tail mode because we've got the delay here. And now we've got one MIDI file, no inserts, and including all the effects. And you can choose multiple parts at the same time, this and this part and so on, and then use render in place for multiple parts. Track number 5 or benefit number 5, you can always be sure that you can playback the audio track, because at some virtual instruments it can happen that they crash, the new version doesn't work and so on, and you can't play back this sound. And with an audio file you always can be sure. Trick number 6, you can create samples and use them inside Contact, Battery or other sampler. Yes, when you are in Cubase, you just can drag and drop parts like this to here, and now we've got a sampler track and can do this. But we want to do more. Now here is a piano and I use a black hole. Now I just play C3. And here is mix to this one. And now just let's play one key. I want to create a really, really long tail. And now let's create a sample. So we do this. Now let's choose render in place and we choose channel settings. Let's say piano reverb and we render this one. I want to go to my project folder. Let's go to, where is it? So here's my project folder. And we've got the piano reverb. And now I open a new instance of Contact. So it's empty. Let's choose this one. And here it is. Now let's open the tag and release more. So now we've got our own sample and can have fun with it. Trick number 7, you can use slicing and chops. Here is the bounced marimba. Now I go to quantize, choose eighth and go to here and we choose not bar, use quantize. And let's go to here. Now I choose the split or scissor, hold the Alt key, and you can see we've got a lot of slices. Now here I choose shuffle and let's do some random fun. Just move some of these parts around and this around and more and more. I would like to have a random function for this. Perhaps it's possible to use the logical editor. Okay, so let's listen to it. Okay, let's remove all the clicks. I just select all, press X. We've got some crossfades. And now let's try the transpose feature and do this and do this. Or we can create more crazy stuff. I select all the winds, go to render in place, render settings. Here I choose chop as separate winds. Let's do try and no tail mode. And now let's render them. You can see these are a lot of parts. And now we've got all the different samples in here. So after the render in place, we can load them into battery, into contact, and what else. And because we don't need them inside of our project, I can just delete this new created track, but I still have all these new created audio files. The next trick is you can do audio editing. Here is a simple piano part. Now let's do render in place. And let's say we want to name it piano. And now we can do some fade ins. So here choose grid bar. Let's do this. And now I can create a fade in. And a small fade out. And now let's duplicate the track and we can do this. Or let's do it softer. Let's do it this way. Or we can now play it backwards. So I go to this part, audio, processes, and then let's reverse it. Trick number 9, direct offline processing. Here is a simple piano track, but I use 4 plugins. You can see Ozone 9, we've got RX9 declick, RX9 declip, and Soothe 2. And now let's play back the piano. So you can see how much CPU performance it takes. And when I press play, it takes a few seconds till I hear something. So what can I do? First, we got 2 solutions. Let's go to edit and we can use render in place, render settings. Now we could render selection and choose channel settings, but then all the settings are inside of the wave file and I can't change them. So let's go to dry and render it. Let's say, yeah, piano is okay. Now I got the new piano file. Let's disable this one. And here you can see we've got the audio file, but still includes all the plugins. Well, but now comes the magic. I use random place. I use F7. And I could drag and drop all these plugins into this event, but I choose another method. I want to choose all of them, and I can do it here at the mixer. And I don't have to do this, just do this. And now I drag and drop all the plugins here. And I've activated auto apply. And now it's calculating. I can remove all those plugins from here. Let's do this and this and this. Yeah. And you can see nearly nothing happens in here. Now I can use the FabFilter Pro Q3 for some editing. Let's do some low cuts. And let's go further, because now I want to have the bit crusher just at the second bar. So I choose the bit crusher. Let's play it. Yeah, so I go here to the second bar, open the direct offering processing, move it to here, remove it from here. Now let's hear from the beginning. Without any automation, so far and so sure and so fast. Trick number 10, you can do a better and faster audio editing when you see the waveform. So here is a damage loop. And here is a whoosh from Boom Library. And very often you get booms and riser and so on in libraries like Keep Forest and so on. And you can use the contact libraries, just press one key. But it can be very difficult to find the right start point. So I always create an audio file, and I want to have the hit at bar number 3. So when I try it, let's listen to it. No, that's wrong. So I guess the point will be here. So when I go to here, let's move it this way. Yeah, this is how it works. And another thing could be I can use the sample start point or anchor point, move it, let's say, to here. And then let's say we do it this way. And it works too. Trick number 11, you always got the same audio result. When you don't change the keys or notes, the sound can change. For example, here I've got different round robins. And you can see them here. Sometimes the sound differs more. Let's hear the women staccato. Well, here we want to hear the changes, but I can show you another example. Here we've got the LFO working. So sometimes you get another audio result when you export it 5 minutes later, and sometimes perhaps you like it or sometimes you don't like it. So when you've got things like this, I choose render in place, and sometimes I render in place multiple versions and create my perfect take. Trick number 12, you can start evolving pads everywhere. Here is a short track using the piano and the Olafur Arnold's chamber waves. So you can see when I press one key here, this sound takes a very long time. So I don't start at the beginning. Now let's start, let's say here. Doesn't sound beautiful, or let's try it this part. This is because the sample at the original gets started here. But when I start later, the sample is triggered here. So it's too late. And now let's do render in place. We go to here, render in place settings, and let's say strings, calculating. And now I can start from the beginning. But I can start inside of the volume pads. I can start from everywhere. And here is another library where I use it very often when I use the Evo strings by Spitfire Audio and other tools. So here, Evo Grid, the woodwind. So let's play it. And you can hear how much evolving there is. So I like to use random plays at things like this. And the last trick and benefit, you can use trials. When you want to try a virtual instrument, sound library, or a plugin, most of the time they work, I guess, 14 days. And you can try them as much as you want. But after 14 days, you can't use them, or they create some noises, or you can't save it. But when you use render in place and you get an audio file, you've got the result for the rest of your life. And it's legal and you can use it. So these are my 13 tricks and benefits when you use render in place inside of Cubase. When you like this video, please give me a thumb up, would make me very happy. And please tell me, how do you use render in place? Just write a comment. See you on the next time. Bye.